close standing light punch. Biggest issue with this is that it is both high and low parryable. Its startup is very good at 2 frames, which means that it contests throws. Its block advantage is very strong at +9 and +10, and its hit advantage is pretty good at +9. This move is not linkable. It is normal and special cancelable, but this information is pretty deceptive. The reason for that is because, as you can see here, standing light punch into medium punch shoulder does not combo. Standing light punch into light punch shoulder, however, does combo. The normal cancels for this move require you to late cancel. Now, you might think this is a link, but it's not, because a link would require the opponent to have enough hit stun in order to have the +9 advantage that you get on hit actually matter. So this is not the case, because you should be able to walk forward infinitely and just hit jab, because you're +9. The move starts up in 2 frames, it's active on frame 3, so you have 6 frames in order to get it to connect. But because the hit stun is not large enough, you are not able to link anything. The same thing goes for any other button. So yeah, this move is relatively unused, and it is only used in very specific situations where you do not want a whole lot of pushback if you want to go for Zempo tension. Close standing medium punch. This move is regarded as one of the better moves in Geneijin because of the normal Geneijin pressure, which is close standing medium punch into crouching light kick. This move is a 3 frame startup. Its block advantage is +4 or +5 depending on standing or crouching. Its hit advantage is +4. It is not linkable, it is special, and normal cancelable. Being special cancelable is only relevant if your opponent likes to attempt to red parry during your normal pressure string. The move can be used as a bait if they want to parry high into a Zempo tension as well. But it does not combo into shoulder because it is only +4 and shoulder startup is 6. So you can't even 1 frame link it or 1 frame cancel into the move. Now, this particular move is useful and unuseful in a lot of respects. This move has very little pushback, which means that you are in range for Zempo tension. So during, pressure strings, you can just go for a mix-up of, are you going to do it off of your high, or are you going to do it off of your low? Right? So it's useful in that regard. It's useful as a way of setting up specific universal overhead setups, and it's also useful as its normal cancel property. But its normal cancel property only goes into moves that are extremely quick. This means that it will only combo into crouching light kick, standing light punch, standing light kick, crouching medium kick. It will not cancel into its own button as crouching medium punch, as you are pushed too far away. And there is not enough hit stun, just like there was not enough hit stun with close standing light punch for certain things to work. So the strings that you would use this with are close standing medium punch, crouch light kick, close standing medium punch, stand light kick so that you can walk Zempo, or close standing medium punch, crouch medium kick into crouching light kick. This puts you at universal overhead distance, and this also puts you at a distance where you can micro step back and then go for a Kaira crouching light kick or Kaira crouching medium kick. It also puts you at max distance or at a good distance to catch your opponent attempting to jump with a standing heavy punch. You can also shoulder if you also feel that your opponent is going to jump. But this move, as its just poking ability, is not that great because it is +4, you are more likely to get thrown out of this move than you are most other moves inside of Geneijin, simply because of the lack of enough advantage to approach your opponent even with recovery canceling. Close standing, fierce punch. 6 frame startup. A monstrous +18 or +19 on block, and also a monstrous +19 or +20 on hit. Linkable into pretty much everything that Yun has. Cancelable into all of his normals, and is also a special cancel into either shoulder or Zempo. The other two moves are completely punishable, and up kicks don't work on crouching opponents. So if you do dash punch, you're going to end up getting destroyed because it is negative even on hit. So this move is also recovery cancelable, which means that if you recovery cancel it correctly, you will end up inside of Zempo tension range. If you opt to not recovery cancel, you are in universal overhead range for a majority of the cast. This move is very good for setting up other universal overhead ranges as well, such as cancel crouching medium kick into carry universal overhead. But these are also very in-depth and require quite a bit of knowledge of different hurt boxes. So it's something that you should practice on your own and figure out with time. This particular move is great because it allows you to go for Keeper Gen or Daipon Loop very easily. This move is also cancelable on the first hit into Zempo, so if your opponent likes to parry, you can Zempo them out of their punish, unless they throw. So one hit parry throw is the only way to really beat this. It beats pretty much everything else. It trades with Ken's super, it trades with Chun's super, it trades with a bunch of things. So Yun is at advantage pretty much no matter what. Now this particular move links with all of Yun's normals, so you can link it into crouching medium kick, you can link it into forward fierce, you can link it into standing fierce punch, and if you do it too early, you'll get double fierce, which may combo on some characters due to their hurt box. Because of recovery cancel, you can actually take an entire step forward and go into normal Geneijin pressure, either starting with crouching light kick or starting with standing medium punch. This move is also recovery cancelable, which allows you to go for mix-ups like standing heavy or medium kick. The other main use for this move is after a dash punch inside of Geneijin into a universal overhead mix-up. It's a 2-hit move, which means that in some situations it'll either hit twice if you change it to be standing light punch or standing medium punch into a cancel, which changes the parry timing, or you can cancel it as a way with crouching light kick. Now, depending on what your opponent does, depends on how you should be varying this particular tool usage. But it is something that I have seen a lot more Yuns use after a jumping medium kick reset, because you are closer and both hits are guaranteed. Going into shoulder is something that's relatively safe, but the shoulder pushes you back enough that your only options after the shoulder are crouching medium or standing heavy punch, or forward medium kick, which is reactable. So using it as pressure into shoulder is probably not the best idea, but it is perfectly viable. So overall, this move has a lot of uses. It's useful in resets. It's useful as a wake-up option. It also is relatively fast, so if your opponent doesn't quick rise, you still have the ability to mix up with a plethora of other choices. As you can see there in that particular situation, I went for standing fierce into standing medium kick, which whiffed as well. If they had quick rise, the standing medium kick or the standing heavy punch would have hit, depending on how fast their quick rise is. And then I went for low short end of palm. Obviously, you can go for another standing heavy punch or whatever you want, but there's a bunch of different ways that you can mix this up, particular situation up. You can also just straight go for whiff into Zempo. Overall, it's just a great move. The only bad thing about it is because of how proximity based it is extremely difficult to use inside of pressure unless your opponent is cornered or knocked down. Because going for crouching light kick into close standing fierce, while possible, is very difficult. Because it requires a recovery cancel into a forward, and it is very possible for you to get a forward fierce. And that's not something that you want to have happen. Close standing medium kick. Yun's launcher. It's a 5-frame startup and it's a +15 or +16 on block. On hit, obviously it launches, and technically during block, it makes it a red parry afterward if you recovery cancel it. Now, this particular move is used in a lot of situations where you want to either reset your opponent, or if you want to milk a particular combo for an ender that will kill your opponent so that you get meter for the next round. But it does have a lot of other uses that you don't see used as often. This particular move on cancel from another move will not combo against a crouching opponent. But you can force a block with a close standing medium punch because it's only +4. Whereas this move is +13. So this allows you to immediately go for a Zempo tension. Or it allows you to go for mix-ups. Now, because of this, you are required to be within close range for it. It's not very easy to react to, but it does have recovery frames on a whiff. Now, this particular move, as a mid-screen option, is relatively useful in a couple situations. So, you have the situations where you would be going for resets. And you also have the situations where you are trying to get corner carry. And in order to do this, you either have to delay your forward medium kick, because otherwise you'll get what just happened to me, where you go under your opponent, or you have to micro step back, before you go for your forward medium kick. You can self-juggle with it, obviously, like you saw in the corner, but it's not really used in that capacity all that often, other than for a very particular ender. Which is that one, standing medium kick forward fierce into dash punch. or like I was showing before, the multiple standing medium kicks into whatever you want. Usually this move is used as a way to get KO ender against Shotos or Q, which is standing medium kick into palm, into light punch shoulder, forward fierce, counter dash punch. Now this particular move on block is wonderful. But before we show that, I need to show how it works during Geneijin pressure. Now, what Ken is programmed to do here is he's programmed to block, and then he's programmed to crouch tech over and over and over again at different timings. Because during Geneijin pressure, if your opponent tries to hit you out of your pressure, and you manage to delay and then do standing medium kick, it'll catch the startup of most things, including Chun's down jab. So this is how a lot of Japanese yuns will use this button as a way of forcing Chuns or other characters with good lows to respect the fact that this button is fast enough to beat them, specifically because it's almost always off of a recovery cancelled move such as crouching light kick. So let's replay this one more time. So if they mess up their timing, they will end up getting hit by your normal combo as well. But if you are not close enough, the close standing medium kick will get beat out. But if you have situations like this, it'll beat it completely. It beat out the startup of the jab. So the same thing happens if your opponent is trying to stand tech throw, where you're just out of range of their throw and close standing medium kick will work. So now let's set him to all guard and go back to the same situation. So when you activate, close stand medium kick is something that is recovery cancelable. So what this means is just like close standing fierce, when you tap forward, you're in range for Zempo tension. Right? So if you don't tap forward, you end up at basically universal overhead distance. If you take a micro step forward, you're in universal overhead distance. So, you know, that's why you'll see sometimes like this, universal overhead, because against certain characters, the universal overhead will hit usually bigger body characters. But in this particular situation, when they block, you can go for Zempo, you can go for a multitude of different things. But when they block this particular move, you can continue pressure because you're plus 16. And because you can recovery cancel this, you're actually a little bit more plus than that. So this allows you to maintain pressure and go right back into either lows or highs, depending on what you want to do. This move also puts you at a distance for standing heavy punch, and then it also allows you to go for the confirmation off of a crouching medium kick into Kara Fierce as well. Now, it also puts you at good distance for a forward medium kick, but its normal uses are going to be inside of Geneijin combos and in situations where you're in pressure trying to bait throws, or bait your opponent to press a button. Although I wouldn't really call it baiting, more or less thinking they're going to and trying to combat it. But by changing the way that you approach your timings, if you do this perfectly, your opponent's not really going to want to press buttons. So that's why, that's where it starts to become useful, is when you're varying things up to the point where they feel like they can make a decision. So this move is a plethora of uses. Just like outside of Geneijin, you can cancel it into neutral jump, And that's also kind of important because if you go for a tempo combo, you can go for neutral jump, dive kick, crouch, medium punch, up kicks in a lot of the situations. Not necessarily off of Zempo, but that's the most common situation that it will occur. This is something that American player Nika KO likes to do a lot, and I've seen Yakun do it, I've seen Nito do it, I've seen a couple other players do it. It's relatively good, and it gives you the most knockdown time, so you know, it's something worth learning. Standing light kick. Now this is a move that is good and bad at the same time. It has a 3-frame startup, its block advantage is +9, its Kraus block advantage is +10, and its hit advantage is +9. It's not linkable, it is normal cancelable, and it is special cancelable. Now, you might be thinking close standing light punch was +9 as well, and you couldn't get a medium punch shoulder, but off of standing light kick you can. There's a little bit more pushback or hit stun for this particular move, so you can get things that you wouldn't have been able to get off of the close standing light punch, like a far standing light kick into a far fierce. That does work. Forward fierce does not, because it is a just frame. Now, this particular move is mostly used in situations where you are attempting to go for a Zempo tension, as it has literally almost no pushback whatsoever. So just as much pushback as a crouching light kick, but it does have much further range. So in situations where crouching light kick will not hit, standing light kick will. The only issue with this is that standing light kick is high and low parryable. Standing light kick, however, is really easily recovery cancelled. So, unlike this particular move, you can go into a recovery cancelled crouching light kick relatively easily. You could even go stand light kick, crouch light kick over and over and over again. Not that I recommend it, but it is possible. So, because of this, Kara standing light kick actually becomes very useful. Kara standing light kick allows you to micro walk or recovery cancel into a crouching light kick to go for a Zempo setup. Or you can go for a universal overhead as well, depending on the spacing. And you can even set it up so that you can go for a universal overhead on a intentional whiff, or you can do it so that you go for a universal overhead that will intentionally connect. Now this is variable depending on character, obviously, and spacing. The important thing about this move is that it is cancelable into other moves, but its usefulness as far as these cancels go is relatively low, and it requires basically instant cancels with a double tapped move. So it's either crouching light kick, crouching medium kick, standing medium punch, or crouching medium punch. It can, from far range, be canceled into standing heavy punch, and it can, from far range, also be canceled into crouching medium kick still. It does not work into standing roundhouse though. So it's difficult for this move to be useful outside of situations where you are going for pressure, but it does allow you to get in relatively easily with either Kara standing light kick or with just adding it to your pressure to allow you to maintain spacing. Now, one of the more important things to me is that after you get a far standing medium punch, you can micro step, be in range for standing light kick, to get into pressure situations instead, because it allows you to get closer to your opponent a little easier without needing to do Kara crouching light kick or something like that. So this particular move is wonderful as far as pressure situations go. It's very finicky as far as combos go, because if you want to do something like crouching standing light kick into standing medium punch into crouching medium kick, it's very difficult. But you can do like standing light kick, light kick, light kick into fierce punch. And because you can recovery cancel, you can recovery cancel it while you're canceling your move, technically. It's kind of difficult to explain, but that's just how it works. And yeah, so that's pretty much all the uses for it. It's mostly used as ways to get Zempo, like I was saying before, or ways to get back into your pressure strings. And that's a very useful tool, and it's something that all the top yuns use all the time. Stand roundhouse. In Geneijin, this particular move is 8 frames. It has incredible pushback. The block advantage is +7, and on crouch block it's +8. On hit it launches, it's not linkable, it's not chainable, it is not special cancelable. It is recovery cancelable, but the distance that you gain is negligible, and it is late cancelable into a standing light kick to do something weird. It's kind of hard to explain, so I'll just showcase it. If you tap forward and hit standing light kick, you end up in Zempo range, which is very important. So if you're up close, you can end up getting Zempo or maintaining pressure with the micro step standing light kick. But the further you are away when you do this, the further it is that you get pushed back. So this means that your only way to approach your opponent when they block this is with a Kara standing heavy punch, a dive kick, micro walk Kara crouching medium kick, forward fierce, or forward medium kick. You can use this as a way of maintaining to keep your opponent pressured in the corner, but they don't really have a reason to try to get out when you are in guard goaltending position. So this particular move inside of combos is used in 2 manners. Against characters like Ibuki, Oro, and other characters where you can't, for example, do something like this. It's a way of starting your combo off of a Zempo tension. So depending on the character, as an example against Alex, you can do Kara standing heavy punch, and then you can do heavy punch dash punch, palm dash punch, and then continue. This also works off of standing medium kick, and it allows you to go for full screen carry. So let's push him to the other corner, just to showcase that. This is something that Sho likes to do quite a bit. Now I messed up my timing on my dash punch, but essentially it does give you full screen. Oops. Did not delay the dash punch enough. So while it's a good tool, it's something that you have to know how to properly use. You need to be at very particular points on the screen, so where your opponent is going to get pushed under the timer is where it needs to be, not 100% So I apologize for that little bit of misinformation at the beginning. But it is something that can be used in regular combos as well, specifically against Alex and Hugo, starting from standing medium punch into this. And then walk forward, do it again. It's the most damaging combo really that you can do on those characters. But it's not useful in that situation a whole lot. When your opponent blocks, obviously you stay close enough. It's not all that risky to do because of how far away you get pushed back, but you can waste quite a bit of your Geneijin meter if you use it incorrectly. It's something that's not used all that often. It may be used in situations against specific characters, though I'm not 100% sure what those are. But there are a few players that do like to use this, so there has to be some reasoning behind it. They could just like the move, but for all I know, it has a little bit more in-depth reasoning to it. It does go over lows, though, in some situations, so the further you are away, if you're trying to get in on your opponent, you can always Kara standing heavy kick. It is possible to go Daipon loop and Kara standing heavy kick, but it's very difficult to do. Just like that. So it is possible, but it's not something that I really recommend. But overall, this move doesn't really get used all that much. It can be used as a way of stopping guard jumps, I guess, from farther away, so that you can hit your opponent, get your dash punch, do whatever. I'll show an example versus Ibuki or against Aura real quick on the Zempo tension stuff, and then I will call it done for this move. So in normal situations, let me just save it here, but when your opponent is cornered as Ibuki, you would like to normally do this, right? But mid-screen, it's not really all that viable. So that's why you end up doing something like that. Because you can actually do two of these and then continue to push them forward if you really wish. But it's not that great of an option. The Kara standing heavy punch against Ibuki does not work. So you actually have to do the dash punch immediately. You get the idea. So that's pretty much the only uses for this move. Like I said, it can be used in certain situations, but overall it's not that great. Mostly combo tool for Hugo and Alex. Far standing light punch. 3-frame startup, +9 or +10 depending on if they are crouching or standing on block, and then it's also +9 on hit. It's technically linkable into a crouching light kick, but normally it's normal cancelable only or special cancelable. The only special that you'll want to cancel it into is medium punch shoulder. Just like close standing light punch, far standing light punch does not have a lot of pushback and it does not have a lot of hit stun. So this means that you can't really combo off of it all that easily. Its main uses are using a distance like this to actually get proximity guard to force your opponent to stay grounded. This move also will whiff over opponents in certain situations, like even against Urien here. If I walk up and I do cancel into standing light punch, it goes over him. This allows me to micro step into a Zempo tension. So that is the main use of this, is to keep your opponent locked down. Now, this move has a very interesting property. you can actually cancel this move's animation, recovery animation with another normal. Same as you could with a majority of other moves that are fast, like crouching light kick or far stand medium punch or whatever, because it's a carry cancel technically. So, although you're not really moving anywhere, you're still canceling the animation. This allows you to get situations where you can cancel into heavy punch, or you can cancel into crouching light kick. So it allows you to whiff over your opponent, so if they stand, they will get hit if they try to jump forward, or it allows you to continue to go low or high afterward. Normally I suggest doing crouching medium kick or standing heavy punch, as these are the best two buttons at this range. Also depending on who you're playing against, as a character like Dudley or Chun-Li can hard punish if they high parry. So it can be a little bit difficult to properly use this move, but a majority of the time it is used for proximity guard. Some of the cast, like I showed here, where in certain situations you'll just whiff over them, which will allow you to go for Senpo tension. Some other characters will actually just get hit, depending on their hurt box. Now Urien changes based on the position that he's in during his idle animation, so he's not really the best person to show this against, but I do have it set up to do so. So if I activate, as you can see here, it keeps him in proximity guard. So this means that I can freely do whatever I want afterward. Now this means that you are also at perfect distance for universal overhead. And it also means that you are at perfect distance for micro step Senpo tension. This move in pressure strings is not all that great because it does not have a whole lot of pushback. And although it is +9, the block stun and the hit stun is not that high by comparison to other buttons. It is better on block than it is on hit, in my opinion. So, although this move does have its flaws, there are some people that use it very well, such as Nika KO, Ochibi, and Nito. It's not something that you'll see very often because it's obviously not that great of a choice when you have other options available to you. But it is something that you can mix in every once in a while to get that free Senpo, depending on the character that you're playing against. Far stand medium punch. As a 3-frame startup, on block it's +14 or +15, on hit it's +15 or +16, depending on if they're crouching or not. It is a linkable move, which means that you can link into other normals. It is a normal and special cancelable move as well. The only special that you'll be canceling this into is a medium punch or heavy punch shoulder. Now this move is normal cancelable, so ideally the situations that you're going to be using this are far stand medium punch into far fierce, which requires link timing, or you can do it into an immediate crouching medium kick or an immediate crouching light kick. You can also do an immediate standing light kick as well, which allows you to continue pressure. The further you let this move go, as you can see here, the can is right between my legs. I'm sorry, the can is right in front of my foot when I don't recovery cancel. And when I do recovery cancel, it goes right between my legs. And when you recovery cancel at the last possible frame, your foot goes before the can. So this allows you to change the positioning that you actually get after this move during block strings, which will allow you to open up universal overhead setups. Now, I'm not going to go into them specifically, but a couple of them would be like standing medium punch, far stand medium punch, crouching medium kick, back cancel, carry universal overhead into the combo. Now this is very character specific, so I'm not going to go into much more detail than that. Primarily this move is used for the 1, 2, 3 activate far stand medium punch forward fierce. Because this move is recovery cancelable if you hold forward, when you do this move, you can continually chain this into itself. And this is important in one situation, where your opponent is right about under the mid-screen, but if you do medium punch forward fierce, your dash punch will not connect to the opponent. So if you put yourself in the same exact situation, and you do forward medium punch, forward fierce, you will get the dash punch to connect. Just like that. So, ideally this is used in Geneijin pressure, because it can be used infinitely if recovery canceled correctly, just like that. But it's not something that you want to have to rely on, because you still need to get closer to your opponent. The further you are away, and the far standing medium punch is not at a distance which allows for an easy Zempo tension, you want to be able to walk forward a little bit. So you want to be able to cancel this into standing light punch, or standing light kick, I mean, because this will allow you to continue going in for pressure. So you can either do standing medium punch into Kara stand medium kick, standing medium punch into Kara crouching medium kick, standing medium punch into Kara crouching light kick if you do it at the max distance that you're allowed to Kara. You can also do heavy punch as well. So for link moves, the easiest links are crouching medium kick, but in order to do this you need to recovery cancel into a micro walk crouching medium kick in most situations. So if you do something like crouching light kick, far medium into crouching medium kick, it requires you to get the recovery cancel, otherwise the crouching medium kick's not going to work. As you see there, the crouching medium kick did not connect because I didn't recovery cancel. But it does connect there when I do recovery cancel. So this move is very hard to use properly. Outside of that, it's used in reset situations as a way to cancel into close standing fierce, as well as a way of canceling into far stand medium kick. Very basic combo. But it can also be used mid-screen. And followed up with standing medium kick as well. You can follow it up with some other things, like dash punch as well. And continue. And this is most notably shown in a situation that I have here, where the opponent needs to be set to parry. And I activate and he'll super jump over me. So this is something that Issei loves to do. In which case, you're chasing your opponent down, and they super jump over you, or they try to get out of the way, where you can do far stand medium punch and actually connect. You can do either close standing medium kick, depending on the range, or you can delay and get far standing medium kick. I recorded at the wrong time. Or I saved at the wrong time, I should say. something like that. Now this is most prominently used in situations like against Chun-Li when she does her wall jump, because you can follow her and make her parry. Or a straight catcher if she tries to do a head stomp or something. But again, this situation also allows you to do dash punch. And continue after that with other moves like standing light punch or whatever you want. And it can be used into a shoulder as well. Also can be cancelled into forward medium kick, but that's sort of a relatively easy double parry. But you can delay the timing of your standing medium kick by quite a bit. And you can chase them down after you do so. So you can take a micro step forward in some cases, which will allow you to get the close standing medium kick. So this move is quite hard to use properly, but inside of Geneijin, the best ways to use it are, as I said, the forward medium punch, forward fierce, as a way to corner your opponent and get enough screen presence to allow you to get the dash punch to connect. And then you also have the normal Geneijin pressure string. You have using standing light kick as a way of continuing to get pressure. And then you also have, being able to immediately cancel into, crouching medium kick into shoulder, or crouching light kick into shoulder, or standing light kick into shoulder, or whatever. But it is a very fast cancel, so that's something that is very risky. But it does work. You can link it into going into Daikai loop. You can link it into going into Geneijin as well. But it's relatively difficult because it's an instant cancel into Geneijin. So it's relatively similar to how you would go into a Daikai loop, but it doesn't really matter. So the move is very strong in a lot of different situations. It also has a lot of pushback on hit if your opponent is trying to contest you, and they're pressing the wrong things. It hits from relatively far away, so if your opponent is trying to hit you with a throw or something, or read your throw, you can just do medium punch forward fierce and continue your combo. It can catch guard jumps as well. So overall the move is very powerful, but it does take some skill to use to its maximum potential. Far standing heavy punch. This move is wonderful. 6 frame startup, it's plus 15 and 16 on block. It's almost as good as close standing heavy punch. And on hit advantage, it's plus 16 or plus 17 depending on if they're standing or not. Easily linkable into a majority of the things. Normal and special cancelable. And it is also recovery cancelable, like everything else. That's the whole reason that Daikai loop works. So Daikai loop requires a forward cancel, right? So at this particular distance, where I start at the can, if I hit heavy punch, my foot is way the hell back there. So my foot actually starts, or ends up being right where the can ends as opposed to very far back. So it's quite a bit of difference. it's about an entire step. So this is important for a couple things. Namely that you can recovery cancel this and take a micro step forward and still get your link. This move is normal cancelable into other moves, but it does require a double tap, so it's semi-link timing. But you can do an actual link where you wait till the animation completely ends as well. So the most consistent ways to link off of this are far standing fierce punch, another standing heavy punch, especially if you kara it, micro walk crouching medium kick, and then you can also micro walk crouching light kick at certain distances. Just like that. It is possible to micro walk close standing or far standing medium punch as well. So you can actually do Daikai loop into a far stand medium forward fierce as a way of confirming into a launcher. It is also usable as medium punch and heavy or fierce shoulder as well. The move has quite a bit of pushback, like I've already shown, so it's important to be able to recovery cancel this. Because if you do not, then you're going to end up really far away no matter what the situation. So this can actually combo into a kara crouching medium kick. It can also combo into a kara crouching light kick at certain distances. But it is very difficult because of the kara timing to get the maximum distance on the crouching light kick, but it is possible. There we go. Ideally, the things that you want to be doing off of standing heavy punch is using a micro step into a standing light kick so that you can continue your pressure, into another Daipon or heavy punch, into a linked crouching light kick, or just using it as a way of slowly making your way in. Because as you do this, you can walk forward far stand medium punch, you can walk forward do another standing heavy punch, you can micro walk forward or do a full step forward and then do crouching medium kick, or you can, go for walk up crouching light kick. You have a very large amount of options that you could do. The only thing that you can't do is, go for like double kara zempo or whatchamacallit, or being able to even walk zempo, because you have to walk way too far. So that's why the standing light kick is important, because it can go into standing light kick into crouching light kick, or it can go straight into another walk standing light kick that will allow you to get your way in. But this only works off of the recovery cancel. But it also allows you to set up things like universal overhead setups just like that. Obviously, character dependent. Now, one of the most important things about standing heavy punch is that from under the timer it doesn't hit, but if you kara it, it does. So it hits from about 50% of the screen away, which is why it's important to be able to use this, as forward fierce from very far away against certain characters can be punished very hard. But this particular move can be cancelled into a crouching light kick or a standing light kick to avoid being hit by the oncoming move, such as Chun's back fierce or a standing roundhouse from Dudley. And this is from max range only. So this particular move is great as a way of maintaining pressure, because you can make your way in as well by recovery canceling forward and then kara standing light kick, or recovery canceling into Kara crouching medium kick, and then going for a confirm into Kara heavy punch. Something like this. That's one of the ways that Sho uses it quite a bit. So this move is very strong because of how plus it is. It allows you to fish for, or not fish for, but confirm into your launcher. It also allows you to maintain ways of getting in, and it also allows you to deal the highest amount of damage that you can against a grounded opponent. Well, that's obviously just a basic combo, but you can get up to 13 reps. Most situations you don't want more than 6 though, because you can get relatively similar damage and meter output for less risk. It's particularly good against crouching opponents, and if the opponent is standing, you'll want to go for resets off of something like 3 hits into shoulder, into whatever. So there's plenty of choices as far as how to use this button. And it's one of Yun's best tools and most important tools for combos and for pressure strings from a distance getting in against your opponent. Far standing medium kick is only good as anti-air. Has a 6 frame startup, so it's relatively quick, but on block it's only +5 or +6, depending on if they're crouching or standing. And if they are hit by it, it's only a +6 or +7. It is not linkable, not cancelable, and not special cancelable. So just like from the standing medium punch video, the only way this gets use is when your opponent attempts to jump away. So to showcase this, we have Ken set to parry. Now, if Ken is set to parry, and we change it to no guard, he should also not parry. But we'll see. So when your opponent jumps over you like this, you actually have to wait for the second half of their jump before you press the button. Otherwise, you're going to get close standing medium kick just like this. No, it's recorded as parry. So, in order to better put this to use, you are required to do another button beforehand, and it's usually going to be close standing medium punch or far standing medium punch. And this requires you to let the opponent also fall when you do your secondary hit, just like that. And this is pretty much the only way to use it. Otherwise, the opponent will have to be attempting to jump out of the corner, and you'll have to do this. But why do standing medium kick when you have far standing heavy punch and forward fierce? Far standing medium punch also hits at pretty much the same distance. The only time that this would be a little bit better is if you're doing like a Kara variation of it, which is something that some people do. Now, I will showcase one situation where this is used inside of a combo because the Kara variation sets up the proper height for a reset. So something like that, where if you get a forward fierce and you try to do a reset off of this, it's most consistent, you get the most options off of a jump medium kick. But if you do forward fierce and try to jump medium kick just as a reset as it is, you end up getting too far away. So you have to add the Kara standing medium kick to allow you to jump far, high enough. This is also good inside of saving combos instead of far standing heavy punch, where this hits a little bit higher than far standing heavy punch. So if your meter is lowering very quickly, and you need to hit them in order to get a shoulder into forward fierce dash punch, or a shoulder into dash punch, or whatever, it can save the day. Now, this is few and far between, but it is something that high-level Yuns will use in situations where they need to save a combo. Specifically, Issei, he loves this button. But it is used by quite a bit of other Yuns as well. Crouching Light Punch. So this move, unlike its counterparts, has a little bit more pushback. It is 2 frames of startup, and on block and on hit, it is between plus 13 and plus 15. On crouch block it's plus 14, and on crouch hit it's plus 15. It is linkable into other moves. It is normal and special cancelable. So the only move that it can really cancel into is a medium punch or a heavy punch shoulder. Doing something like dash punch is not going to work because you're too negative. So you can, however, cancel it with Zempo Tension if you think that your opponent is going to parry at all, because this covers high and low parries, as it can be high and low parried. So that is its one weakness, is that it is parryable both high and low, similar to the crouching medium punch. This move is also recovery cancelable. As you can see there, I was able to take a micro step and crouching light punch again. 7 times. So, this move is usable in situations where you want to immediately cancel, usually into a crouching light kick, crouching medium punch, or crouching medium kick. It's something that will happen in situations where you need to stay close, because just like crouching light kick, it has very little pushback. So you can use it as a way to get Zempo Tension, or you can use it as a way of slowly closing the gap. But because of the lack of pushback and the lack of hit stun in some cases, where this needs a very specific timing to work, if you don't time it correctly, you're just going to end up being close enough to get thrown. So it can be a risk. So it's why this is much safer, going from standing medium punch to crouching light kick. Now this move is comboable into basically every other thing that you can do. It is linkable into a forward fierce. And the reason why this is most commonly used is in situations where you start with crouching medium kick, and then you activate into a crouching light kick or crouching light punch into a forward fierce, because this is how you combo off of crouching medium kick. I have a whole other video on that if you want to learn how to do that consistently. But overall, this button does not do much. It cannot even spam into itself, really. So in order to use it, you have to basically do light, going between the light kick and the light punch. This move, because it doesn't have a whole lot of pushback against certain characters, you can use it as a way of using the standing light punch, or far standing light punch, to get the required distance to keep proximity guard and go for a Zempo. It also can do the same thing off of a close standing medium kick. You get the idea. It's pretty general. The usage of it is relatively similar to crouching light kick, which will be covered later. Crouching medium punch. 3 frame startup, plus 13 or plus 12 on block, depending on if they are crouching or standing. On hit, it's plus 13 or plus 14. linkable into other normals, also normal and special cancelable. Now this move has a very interesting property where you can spam it if you hit medium punch and light punch or medium punch and light kick at the same time. The maximum amount of hits that you can get in most cases without tassing is 8. It is possible to get more, but it's quite difficult. This move in general is mostly used as a way of starting Geneijin combos from 1, 2, 3. The most common situations that you'll have is crouching medium punch, stand fierce into shoulder, or you will have crouching medium punch, stand fierce into dash punch, or simply you'll have crouch medium punch, forward fierce, etc. So the move is used quite a bit. There are some characters where this move will not hit them when they are standing, when you're activating from 1, 2, 3, like Dudley. It's also risky to do this on Urian in some cases, if they are standing. So you have to do crouching medium kick or far standing medium punch instead. Now this move, just like almost every other move that Yun has, is recovery cancelable. You can micro walk and get another one or another chain or link into itself. So you can do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 as a combo as well. Very difficult to do, but is something that you can aim for if that's something you want to try. It does work against standing and crouching opponents and all that jazz. In particular, this is not really used in Geneijin combos, or in Geneijin outside of the start of combos, as the other buttons are more positive, mostly being crouching light kick and crouching light punch, but it can be, a decent button. And it's also very good that it doesn't actually mess up your Geneijin pressure if you end up getting down medium punch, because as you can see here, that entire thing comboed. Included the close standing medium punch, crouching medium punch, and far standing medium punch. So it's something that you can use as a crutch in order to get your proper recovery cancels and then just going down if you're not capable of doing the close standing medium punch one. Otherwise, it's not really used all that often. It can be used in situations as an anti-air into up kicks, but that's not really inside of Geneijin. It can be used in the same way, but in reset situations, you can use it as a way to go from standing heavy punch or standing medium kick or whatever into a crouching move, but it's better to use crouching light kick for this situation anyway. So although it can be used in the same way, it's really not worth it. This move does have a higher hitbox though than some of the counterparts that you would get crouching, so it can be better at stopping guard jump. The only issue is that this move is both high and low parryable. So that's another reason why during pressure you want to avoid using it, because if your opponent tends to try and parry and you're not doing it as a bait, this move being high and low parryable is just going to get you punished. Geneijin Crouching Fierce. 3-frame startup, plus 12 or plus 13 on block, plus 13 or 14 on hit, depending on if they are standing or crouching. Linkable. It is also special cancelable and normal cancelable. The normal cancel will happen after the second hit, and so will the special cancel unless you only hit with the second hit of the Crouching Fierce. This move is not used very often because it is high and low parryable, just like Crouching Light Punch and Crouching Medium Punch. Now, this move, because the second hit is actually relatively slow, as far as parrying goes, it's a parry-parry. It's relatively simple to get out of situations where you use it. The only godsend that this button has is that if you are trying to do a situation where you're doing close standing heavy punch, or a far standing heavy punch, and you manage to screw it up and you get one hit of this, you are plus enough that you can link into something else. So letting the entire animation finish and then pressing a button, depending on your spacing, Fierce Punch from far will work or not. So that's why Crouching Medium Kick is probably going to be your best bet. Can go into Daikai loop, can go into whatever you want. This move, though, is not that great, but you can salvage it with a standing light kick, a crouching light kick, crouching medium kick, whatever it is that you want to do if it does hit. And because it is so positive on block, it's not going to affect your Geneijin pressure if you accidentally do this button instead of a close standing medium punch or a crouching medium punch. It's not the end of the world, but there's nothing really too special about it. Geneijin Crouching Light Kick, the bane of so many people's existence. 2-frame startup. On block it's plus 13. On hit it's plus 14 or 15, depending on if they're standing or crouching. It is linkable, and it is special cancelable, but it is not normal cancelable or chainable. Now, the way that you can showcase this is that in order to do this, if you mash the button, it will come out, but it doesn't actually cancel until the animation of the first one hits. So you have to tap, double tap. Unlike if you go for medium kick, if you just do tap tap, like I'm doing here, the second light kick doesn't come out. But it does if you do crouching medium kick. But I'll get into that later. So this move is a linkable move only, and it can link into itself ad infinitum if you can recovery cancel properly. So this move being plus 13 on block makes it absolutely ridiculous as far as a pressure tool goes. It does push back quite a bit if you do not recovery cancel, but if you do crouching light kick, light kick, light kick, you're still in range for crouching medium kick. You're still in range for heavy punch for starting Daikai loop, and you're still in range for forward fierce as a confirm. Now, it's probably the easiest move to use, and it's also why a lot of people use it so consistently, or as their only way of pressure, is because they're not comfortable enough with other choices, and you can change the timing on when you do your crouching light kick. You can also change if you recovery cancel it or not, which means that at certain times parry and at certain times throw will not work. So if you don't go forward and you end up just doing crouching light kick, you're far enough away from your opponent that they're not going to be able to throw you. So if your opponent sees that you're doing this, and then you do crouching light kick, you're out of throw range. So this means that then you can go for other things. Daikai loop, or crouching medium kick, or whatever. Now, as you can see here, the crouching light kick, and then micro step crouching medium kick works more than fine. So the recovery cancel works the same way as all the other moves. This particular move outside of ground pressure doesn't do anything, but it's important to understand that this move allows you to change the timing at which your opponent has to parry on a reset. Because any time that your opponent parries, let me put him on all parry. And then I will jump over him and then Zempo. So if you do this, as you can see, the opponent is going to require different parry timings. So let me showcase again. So when the opponent has to parry here, as you can see, it requires a single parry into a double parry, right? But the timing on this is relatively consistent until you add the crouching light kick, in which case you can immediately do another standing medium punch. So you can, instead of just doing this, you can do this, which is a lot harder to parry. The same thing happens if you want to do standing medium kick, is the timing for this is just parry parry. And the timing for this is parry delay parry. And you can do the same thing here, where you go for dash punch instead. Depending on how far away you are, also means that you can go for things like medium punch into up kicks and all that stuff. But the most important thing is being able to recovery cancel your way to the corner. Because if you can't do this consistently, then you're going to be neutering your ability to confirm inside of Geneijin. So part of being able to confirm off of this means that you have to be able to confirm off of single and crouching light kicks. And this is mostly done based on the fact that you can add other buttons after the single crouching light kick. So it's either crouching light kick, or crouching light kick, light kick, depending on the situation and their body type. But you can do crouching light kick, close standing medium punch, into crouching medium kick, or crouching light kick again as well. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use this. It does cancel into itself. It links into standing light kick, which is relatively easy to get Zempo after. Although this is high and low parryable. But because of this being plus 13, basically everything turns into a red parry. So it's very difficult to guard against your opponent unless you know when to guard jump when they are attempting to go for Zempo. The other important thing is that you need to be able to recovery cancel this, because if you can't, you're never going to be in the correct distance to single step or micro step Zempo tension, which is, it's very difficult to be able to do crouching light kick, whole step forward Zempo, which is one of the biggest things that Yuns struggle with when they are learning how to do pressure, is that you can't just mash crouching light kick and then walk forward Zempo. Just doesn't work. So if you're going to do something like this, you need to be able to slowly get your way to your opponent. Crouching medium kick. 3 frames, plus 7 on block, plus 8 or 9 on hit, depending on if they're crouching. It's linkable, it's normal cancelable, and it's special cancelable. Up close, special cancelable into both palm and shoulder. And normal cancelable into most likely crouching light kick, or close standing medium punch. It is linkable into a far standing heavy punch at the correct timing. It is also immediately cancelable into a Kara standing heavy punch, which is the start of Keeper Jin. This move in itself can be linked into itself, but it cannot be done with a recovery cancel. Sometimes a recovery cancel is required in order to get a combo to work, such as that, which is a recovery cancel into forward for the standing medium punch. But it's very frame specific, and it honestly is not worth doing. So ideally, the ways that you want to be using this move is as a way to get in with counter crouching medium kick, or as a way of interrupting your opponent if you think they're going to parry, so that they must block the second hit or whatever. It actually defeats command grabs, so if Makoto is going to 100% stun you, or attempt to parry in the middle of your Geneijin to kill you, then you can stop that from happening by coupling it with a crouching light kick, which I will show later. But overall, the move itself doesn't really have a whole lot of value outside of the situations that I talked about. It's great as a tool for linking or confirming into a forward fierce, because going from close standing medium punch to crouching medium punch is not an option. So the only other option is crouching light kick, but crouching medium kick works from further away. In situations where you're doing other buttons first, because it's a 3-frame startup move and it is so far away as far as how far it can hit, you can recovery cancel and then manage to get it. So like I showcased before, you can do heavy punch and then micro walk crouching medium kick, which will allow you to continue your combo. The move itself is good in those situations because it allows you to set up situations where, depending on the character, you can either, Kara crouching light kick back in, or you can Kara standing light kick in for the Zempo tension spacing. This move in general, though, does not really go into pressure strings unless you are coupling it with another move that is more positive, in my opinion. So this means that you have to do crouching medium kick into crouching light kick, light punch, or medium punch in order to make it good. You can also go into a far standing heavy punch immediate cancel if you are far enough away from your opponent. So if you are this far away and you want to go for a Kara standing heavy punch afterward, it's more than viable. It's actually a way that show confirms inside of Geneijin quite a bit. So that's basically the uses of this move, and it can be used as a tick throw, so to speak. Where if you manage to get a knockdown and you manage to get your opponent to be hit by your crouching medium kick or block it, you can immediately go to a Zempo, similar to a situation if you're just doing a normal one. But it's not a situation you see very often. So let's take a look at how it works against Makoto. The most important part is how Yun uses this as a way to combat Karakusa. Now, as you can see here, I do crouching medium kick, crouching light kick after a normal set of stand medium punch, crouch, light kick. Now, the reason for this is because it will beat Makoto's command grab. As you can see, the command grab starts. But if you just normal throw with a neutral throw or a forward throw, it will still beat it. So if your opponent, though, is in range for a kill with, 100% combo or whatever, missed it, but you get the idea. That if you want to go for this sort of situation, the Makoto has to double parry, which is very difficult. but it is possible. So it's something that a player like Tominaga might do, but you know, it's not something that a majority of other players might do. And plus, you can also go for other things like close standing medium kick or close standing heavy punch or something like that. You don't necessarily need to do crouching light kick, you just need to do another crouching button. Crouching light kick, though, is the fastest button on startup with 2 frames, so it's most likely to interrupt your opponent. So, Geneijin crouch roundhouse doesn't actually push you back that far, and that's one of the important parts. It's an 8-frame startup, it's +5 on block, and it is also a hard knockdown. It is not linkable and not cancelable, not special cancelable. So when doing this move, when you are point blank in their face, you are in range for a standing light kick or a, you know, far standing heavy punch or whatever you want to do. So you can continue your pressure that way. You can continue your pressure with a micro step crouching light kick, etc. But this is mostly only used in the middle of the screen. And that's because you can get a reset off of this, quote unquote. It's a hard knockdown, which requires your opponent to deal with a left, right, high, low. Now this is better against some characters than others. It's great against Shotos, even though they can DP, but it is not good against characters such as Ibuki, which has Hien, which gets her off the ground immediately. So, one of the important things about this move is that at ranges where heavy punch does not work, sweep does. So, when you are actually using this move, if you Kara it, it hits really far away. Especially if you do it at max Kara distance. Now if you do it at max Kara distance, and you take that micro step forward for the forward medium punch, you can basically do it 60% of the screen away. Now when you're doing it this far away, you can do 2 things. You can mix up with an immediate jump forward, and then left-right mix-up, high-low mix-up with medium kick or heavy kick, dive kick, depending on the situation and the character. Or you can immediately just dash up, and then they have to deal with a meaty. So it's a very usable tool that all of the top Yens use. You'll see Ushi, Sho, Yakun, Issei, you know, Hyacinth, Boss, Mester, like everyone. Everyone uses this at the highest level, especially in neutral. If they can't find a way to get in and are not playing against a character like Ken, which can do EX Fireball as a way to trade with this, and then you both lose out on everything, or Yun loses out even more, I should say, it's something that the Yuns will go for. Specifically, I see players like Dedun and Sho go for this in the Chun-Li matchup, where getting that knockdown is really important. It also trades with a far stand heavy punch, I believe, or it can beat it on whiff. So the Kara version of it, hitting from so far away, is very important. And it goes into Daipon loop relatively simply. No matter how you want to link from it, either off of the crouching medium kick, light kick, crouching light kick, stand medium punch, crouch light kick, whatever you want to do. You can even just go for straight Senpo. Whatever. You get the idea. It's a super useful move, and it's something that a lot of players don't appreciate or use enough. Forward Fierce, forward heavy punch. 9-frame startup, plus 6 or 7 on block. Launches on hit, not linkable in the conventional sense, not normal or special cancelable, and it's definitely not chainable. So this move is something that you will normally see off of a 1-2-3 starter, whether it's standing medium punch, crouching medium punch, or crouching medium kick. You'll see this as a way to confirm into a launcher off of crouching medium kick, crouching light kick, and standing heavy punch. Although the crouching medium kick is something that you would need to link into something else before doing the forward fierce. Otherwise, it is a cancel from the crouching medium kick into the forward fierce, like I said previously. The move on its own is good as far as corner carry goes, and a Kara version of it can be used to pick up combos that may otherwise need a dash punch that would scale the combo more. So in this situation, I would normally do medium punch, forward fierce, dash punch, but I can do medium punch, forward fierce, Kara forward fierce, forward medium kick, palm. You get the idea. So you can save some damage on your combos. Specifically in the arcade version, which dash punch scales your combos quite a bit. So outside of the tools that I've just outlined for confirms and ways that you can use it as a combo starter, it is used as corner carry from mid-screen situations, namely after you confirm with crouching medium kick into a crouching light punch or crouching medium kick into a forward fierce dash punch. This is done only if your character is under the middle of the screen, under the timer, or towards your opponent's side of the screen, if you are mid-screen. It works a little bit further away if you can see the corner, where I am not quite mid-screen under the timer, but it still works based on the screen distance. This particular move, because it is +7 on block, means that it's very difficult to continue pressure after it. So let's take a look at what it looks like on block. Now, a common situation that you'll see is that people will go for crouching medium punch or medium kick forward fierce. Now, forward fierce, normally, if you are point blank, pushes you back so that your right foot is almost touching the front of the can with your knee and your ankle right in the middle of it. You can recovery cancel and actually put yourself very, very close to your opponent. Not quite to the point where you can Zempo, but close enough. So what this means is that you can add extra plus frames to your recovery, basically, where it allows you to go from forward medium kick into crouching, forward medium punch into crouching medium kick relatively efficiently. You can't just do forward fierce, forward fierce, forward fierce because it has a 9-frame startup. And you're only +7 on crouch hit, and even if you are recovery canceling at the proper timing, you might only be frame perfect. So, depending on how you're doing this, it will require that micro step so that you can get your crouching medium kick, but it's not something that you should go for all the time. Specifically because some characters such as Dudley and Chun-Li can quite easily punish you if they parry this. Chun-Li can back fierce super, Dudley can standing roundhouse into EX machine gun blow. So that means in situations where you might do this, you might want to do this into a crouching light kick, because if they parry the standing heavy punch, the crouching light kick will allow you to escape the punish, so to speak. They're not going to be able to parry and then hit you because you've already canceled the animation into another move that's farther away. So forward fierce is a wonderful tool as far as screen carry goes, and it's a okay tool as far as pressure goes as long as you understand how to recovery cancel this. Now if you recovery cancel this correctly, you can maintain pressure with micro step standing light kick, which is an important tool to maintain space. You can do the same thing with crouching light kick, but it's a little bit more difficult. So doing forward fierce, crouching medium kick, Kara fierce is something that may work as well. Or forward Pierce, crouching medium kick, Kara, crouching medium kick, continue your pressure. You get the idea. This particular move is not good outside of these situations, but it is very good at what it does. But because it's only +6 or +7, it's not really worth using in situations or against characters that can heavily punish you. Yun's forward medium kick is 13 frame startup. It is -4 on block, and on crouch block it is obviously going to hit their opponent. On hit it's -3 or -2. It is not linkable, not chainable, and not special cancelable. And this is important because if Yuns tend to do forward medium kick and you block it as Ken or as Dudley or any character with a good crouching medium punch or whatever, even crouching light kick, you're going to be able to hit your opponent before he can even do his fastest move, which is crouching light kick. So in particular, this is good against Yun when you're able to block and do a crouching medium punch into a super. So Chun-Li can't crouching medium kick, so you don't have to worry about that, but you do have to worry about her doing down jab as a way of stopping you from doing the forward medium kick altogether. Same thing with Ken. So it can be risky because of how many startup frames it does have. But let's take a look at how to actually use it. Now this particular move on hit, if Ken tries to press a button, will not work. The crouching light kick will hit, or the far standing medium punch will hit. So those are things that you don't have to worry about as long as your opponent is not blocking them. Now, if you do this, and you take that micro step forward, Chun-Li can Kara throw you. So it's something you have to be wary of. So this means that if they block this, you can't press anything, because you're so negative. The idea here is that you need to respect your opponent as long as their reactions are good enough. But overall, this is used as a tool to force your opponent to respect highs without having to go to universal overhead. Because this still keeps you close enough that you can go for, standing light kick, micro walk, Zempo tension, or specifically like crouching light kick into whatever. When you're using this particular move, you are in range for very few things. You're in range for standing heavy punch, you're in range for standing medium punch, you're in range for crouching light kick, you're in range for crouching medium kick, and you're in range for shoulder of the buttons that you might want to press. You can press standing light kick as well, but it is high and low parryable. Just keep that in mind. Same thing with crouching medium punch. Forward medium kick in general is a tool that is very hard to use properly. Like I said before, if you want to cancel off of crouching medium kick, you need to press medium kick and light kick at the same time. Otherwise, it's just going to be a simple cancel off of your normal button. So this is used in ways to open up your opponent that is insisting on just down backing. Because on hit, it does a relatively decent amount of damage against your opponent. So if you get 3 of them into a Zempo tension, you can do 40% of your opponent's life. Whatever. But you can still get a decent amount of damage a meter. And you stay close enough that you can go for a mix-up into a command throw very easily. So this move overall is not that strong. It is strong in the fact that if they don't have the reactions to consistently deal with it, or their character cannot punish it well enough off of blocking it because it is only -4, then Yun can sort of get away with murder. The idea is that this move is something that should be mixed up with universal overhead, because universal overhead has very similar properties. Universal Overhead. The 7 deadly sins of Geneijin, basically. It is one of those things where it relies on your opponent's reaction time or your ability to condition your opponent to not look for it. On startup, it's 13 frames, the same as forward medium kick, but on block, it's only -3. This can be Kara thrown, or Chun-Li can Kara throw you. Ken can DP you, Ken can super you. So any character that has something that is 2 frames or less, or 3 frames or less, can punish you as long as it has the range. So normal throw for most characters are not going to reach, but SPD from Hugo will reach. So will Chun's Kara throw, so will DP. On block, because it's -2, or -3, the only thing you have to worry about is that. On hit, because it can hit at different varying positions, you know, if you are at the correct spacing, you can confirm off of a standing light kick or a crouching light kick. Just like that. It's the same thing in Geneijin, except it's different buttons and different spacings and all that stuff. So the hardest thing about using this correctly is understanding how recovery canceling can affect your setup. Now, as you can see there, I did the setup at 2 different timings, where I did a delay at the end before I did my recovery cancel universal overhead, and then when I just did it instantly. So if you don't have the timings memorized, and you're just trying to do cancels into universal overhead or whatever, you're going to end up getting Zempo tension, or you're going to end up getting up kicks or shoulder or something, and that's not a good look. So having an understanding of how to use this off of your normal Geneijin pressure is important. So crouching light kick into standing medium kick, if you take that micro step back, you can get this universal overhead to work. But if you're doing like standing medium kick, or medium punch, crouching medium kick, crouching light kick, it sets you up with the perfect positioning for a micro step forward universal overhead. So you can do other things like this, right? Where it's standing medium punch, crouching light, medium kick, crouching light kick, crouching medium kick, carry universal overhead into your combo. There are plenty of different ways to actually go about getting these setups, but there are between 50 and 100 per character depending on their body type. I have some videos showcasing some of this on YouTube for Alex in particular, but I don't have a list public for all of the different characters in the game, specifically because it's not really worth memorizing them all. You're better to learn the few that are off of the universal overhead setups, or not the universal overhead setups, but the normal Geneijin pressure setups that will allow you to vary your success, or get success off of the littlest change in your pressure. Now, having different setups is cool, and it's wonderful to have if you can memorize hundreds of different things to pull out of your ass, no matter who you're playing against, no matter what character it is. But not everyone has the ability to do such a thing. So being able to do standing heavy punch into universal overhead, or crouching, or standing medium punch, crouching light kick, you know, into it, that's important. Same thing as standing medium punch, crouching light kick, micro step forward. Or standing medium punch, crouching medium kick, light kick, micro step forward, right? Having the ability to just slightly vary your what you're doing will give you the highest yield for the investment in learning the setups. Now, these vary based on the body type, like I was saying. The same stuff that works here against Ken may work against Chun-Li, but it won't work against Urien. So you have to spend some time to learn all this stuff, or just wait for me to eventually release my guide, which may take quite a while. But until then, try some stuff out, see if it works for you, but don't abandon a choice just because it's blocked once. That's all I can say. If they show that they can block it consistently, then stop. But in a tournament situation where you can't really make mistakes, if they block the first one, it may be a good idea to stop. But in a first to 10 or something, there's no real reason to stop until they punish you for it. And very few characters can really hard punish you for it. So if they can't, then do it to your heart's content.